The United Nations Agency for Palestinian Refugees on Friday said it has opened an investigation into several employees suspected of involvement in the October 7th attacks in Israel by Hamas, and that it has severed ties with those staff members. Philippe Lazzarini, the Commissioner General of UNRWA, did not disclose the number of employees allegedly involved in the attacks, nor the nature of their alleged involvement.
Man, you gotta love Peter Doocy, man. When the entire Fox network really is slidden to the left, slidden somewhere, including his own dad, Steve Ducey, Peter Doocy just keeps crushing the ball. And really, he's not the only one. You got to give credit to his partner, Jackie Heinrich, with the White House press corps as well, especially when she's chasing people down in the halls of Congress. I mean, they are both pit bulls. And you guys may have noticed that whenever the pit bulls are out, just about any time there's a real serious situation or anytime the White House is expecting that there's going to be a difficult topic, everybody's favorite diversity hire, well, actually second favorite diversity hire, Karine Jean-Pierre, seems to disappear, just takes a back seat to evil, straight white male Admiral John Kirby. And not to get sidetracked, but talk about a freaking disgrace, man. This guy, he has absolutely dismantled whatever legacy he thought that he would have had right out there in front of us. All of us got to see it on TV. You know, a once proud military man, now just a mouthpiece apologist for corruption and incompetence. And not just corruption and incompetence in our own government, apparently the world. You know, it's sad to watch. So here was this day's serious problem. The UN recently released a report which admits something that the Israeli ambassador told us 2 or 3 months ago. But the UN is now admitting that many of its own members may have been funneling UN aid money directly to Hamas through a UN program called UNRWA. And they alleged, the UN, that is, alleged that a lot of that money may have very well gone directly to funding the October 7 attacks. Now, before we get too upset with the UN, which we have every right to, I think we should remember that our own government has been giving hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars to Palestinian leadership for years now, while also at the same time admitting that it's not just likely, but it's more than likely that any aid, any food, any money, or any medicine that we send would just get gobbled up by the only people in the hood that have any guns. But we do it anyway. We virtue signal anyway, and we actually ignore any problem that might come from it. And at least the UN, you know, has taken the steps to admit in its own accounting a really, really serious problem, which honestly is very, very surprising. I wish we had that kind of accountability in our own government. But anyway, Doocy puts it all together in a really, really fantastic question to Admiral Kirby that I'm sure he really could have probably lived without.
Validates a claim of genocidal intent or action by the Israeli Defense Forces.
Thank you. John, you said this month about the UNRWA, you can't hold them accountable for the depredations of Hamas. How about now?
Certainly it looks as if, Peter, and again, there's an investigation going on, so I'll be careful, but it certainly looks as if there's cause to be concerned about the actions of some of the members of UNRWA, the UN Relief and Works Agency, but that does not, and nor should it, impugn the entire agency and all the body of work that they're doing. They have helped save literally thousands of lives in Gaza. They do important work. Doesn't mean that there aren't some folks in that group that need to.
Now, I know that I say this in almost every John Kirby related video, but I really do feel terrible for John Kirby. You know, I don't know why in the world he would be doing this. I cannot imagine with his pension and as smart as he must be that he really needs the money. He can't possibly believe in the program. He can't possibly lay his head down at night and feel good about what this administration is doing and the lies that he has been out telling. You know, but I mean, just look at the poor guy's face right here, right? He's hurting. He's hurting. And I know it's weak, but I feel bad for him, man. But what a terrible, feckless answer. You know, my question would be, how many people do you have to help, or how many people do you have to save to make funding monsters who weaponized rape while literally committing terrorism acceptable? How many people do you have to save before that's okay? You know, where is that line? Okay, we've saved enough Palestinians, let's get some Zionists. I mean, that's essentially what he's saying. I mean, how do these people say these things without hearing the words that are coming out of their own mouth?
be punished for potentially these kinds of behavior, but that doesn't impugn the entire organization.
That's bad, though. If there are 12 people who are accused...
It's bad. It's bad if there's one. It's bad if there's one.
Bad. And the U.S. is giving them money. How much money?
We have suspended we have suspended.
Before the suspension?
I don't have the dollar figures here, Peter. I'll take the question and get back to you, but we have suspended unallocated funds pending the outcome of the investigation.
Who does this White House vet? Because we know that people coming across the southern border are not vetted. Now we know that people that are getting hundreds of millions of dollars of U.S. money are not being vetted. So who do you guys check out?
It's interesting that you're combining the two. The border in this, but let me just give me a second. It's not like we don't have a process at the border, and there is a challenge there, and the president does want to get more border.
Yeah, so I mean, the man has got a point. We don't vet anyone on the border. We didn't vet anyone who rode on the outside of Joe's airplanes. We don't vet the people we're sending billions of dollars to in Ukraine. We definitely didn't vet any of the people we armed in Afghanistan. So who do we vet? Who do we look into? I mean, that is a completely fair question. If we're going to give people land, money, resources, support, anything at all, if we're going to give anything at all, we should at least be willing to ask a few questions first. And really just the most simple questions, honestly. We don't have to get too complicated. But, let me know in the comments, guys. Does John Kirby really believe that we have a process at the border? I mean, do you guys think we have a process? I mean, if your process results in failure, death, and disasters of every kind, does that even count as a process? I mean, is that a process?
Patrol agents, but this idea that just there's no vetting and there's no proper immigration enforcement going on at the border just does not comport with reality. There's a lot of work needs to be done to get better at that, but put that aside, because that has nothing to do, and it has nothing to do with UNRWA and Gaza.
What this administration is doing and how
it is a UN,
resources are being used.
It is a UN agency, and yes, we have contributed to their work, and that work has been meaningful, and it has been important in places like Gaza, but we also are willing to hold them accountable for this particular incident and before the alleged behavior by these particular employees. And as I've said, wait, just give me a second now. As I said, we want this investigation to be complete and thorough and transparent. And if in the investigation it's determined that people need to be held accountable, then obviously we want to see that too.
But up until today, the U.S. policy then has been, we don't negotiate with terrorists, but we will give them hundreds of millions of dollars.
Come on now, that's conflating here. This is not. That's like saying the whole UNRWA is a terrorist organization. You know who is a terrorist organization? Hamas, not UNRWA. Now, if the investigation proves that, in this case, I think it's about a dozen employees were assisting Hamas, and even to the point of maybe even involved in hostage taking, then absolutely they need to be held to account. And we will, although we've already suspended any additional allocations to UNRWA, we'll certainly consider additional, depending on the investigation, whether that requires any additional changes in the way we support UNRWA going forward.
Thank you. I'd love to ask about the logistics of moving people from kind of places.
The one thing that Kirby said that is without a doubt true, the only thing that we cannot fact check, is Hamas is a terrorist organization. While I disagree with him in his assumption that an organization can be half with terrorists and half against terrorists, but that means that we should somehow continue to judge the organization based on the good works of the good half. That just doesn't make any sense to me. I mean, liberals believe this, I'm sure, but remember, by their own math, Donald Trump is all bad. After every positive thing he accomplished, whether it's peace in the Middle East, a peace possibility with North Korea, black employment, the first meaningful criminal justice reform since Biden weaponized the system against minorities, all that. None of that was any good. None of that mattered because of Russia. But the UN Works Group that only halfway supports terrorists is only halfway bad. These people, they do not ever make any real sense. And if you ever just turn their logic even just a little bit right back on them, nothing works. I mean, nothing works. But anyway, that's just my take, guys. Let me know yours in the comments. If you haven't already, guys, 2024 is going to be a big year, important year for conservative voices. So help the channel continue to grow, man. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Most importantly, share the channel. I'll see you in the next one.